Hello, good morning. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain. What's up?
Indeed, it's another week. We hope it's a great one here for you and everyone concerned, especially as we look forward to the off-cycle elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states. Good morning and welcome. I'm Maokwe Ogun-Yusuf.
It's November 6th, and of course, the countdown has begun for quite a while. A few days to go. I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Okay. Well, yesterday, indeed, Chamberlain, we had a town hall here at Channels Television in partnership with Kim Cat Development Initiative. I think it was also sponsored by the British, UK, the UK Development Initiative. And it was quite interesting that the focus, I mean, it was on security, which is a major concern as the polls approach. In Imo State, we've seen what has happened in Imo, where the NLC president was allegedly, was beaten up. We saw him beaten up now. The allegation will be on who beat him up. So those ones, can come and either deny or accept that indeed they did. The governor of the state, when he was asked by State House correspondents, said, something to the effect that, the NLC president is from Imo State and doesn't seem to be drawing any demarcation between him being president of NLC and him, and the politics in Imo State. Now, whether that is an acceptance of taking responsibility for what happened to the NLC president, I think it will be left for people to decide, on that. The jury will be out on that. But what we saw was that the NLC president was physically brutalized, and there's sufficient evidence to show that indeed he was. So security has been a major concern for many people, and if we can take that as an example, then you also have Kogi State, which has had a history of violence as well in its own polls. 2019 is still very fresh, where a woman leader in the People's Democratic Party was burnt to death in her house. And even on election day, there were gunshots reported in many parts of the state. In some instances, too, we even understand that, state apparatus were used or was used in that elections to intimidate voters. There's not been very clear accountability since the 2019 elections as to what transpired in Kogi State. But this is 2023, and it's another election season. It's very important that the Inspector General of Police did not shy away from that particular conference, and he gave his word that security will be provided in that election. Bayelsa is also another place where it's usually fight to the finish. Don't forget that only recently a video was making the rounds where the deputy governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress was shown, saying things that ought not to be said in an election. I know when you now ask them, about do or die politics, they'll say, oh, it's just the manner of speaking. You know how we say elections are war. But, knowing the kind of history that we've had and the fears that we usually have around electoral violence, words really should be temperate. And I think that even as we go into the polls, as we continue to ask the security agencies to do their best, I think that, we all also have a duty to ask politicians to temper their words, in this season, that elections are not war. If you're going to be likening them to war, do your strategy on paper. Please let it not involve human lives. The former president of Nigeria, former President Goodluck Jonathan, always was quoted to have said that his ambition was not worth the blood of anyone, was not worth the blood. And I think that should be a mantra that all politicians should be able to adopt. No matter how desperately you want a particular seat, I think that, they should sing that song as loudly as they can from every rooftop, that their ambitions are not worth the blood of any Nigerian. And Nigerians too should know that, look, their ambitions is not worth your blood. No matter how, you really support a candidate and you're passionate and you really want a candidate to win, you have to be alive for you to be able to enjoy whatever that candidate does in 4 years. And it's only 4 years. So even if you lose, it's just 4 years. The person, you will have your chance again. But be that as it may, I think it's very important that we continue to emphasize that these elections must be conducted in an atmosphere of peace. You cannot kill the people that you seek to govern over. Ayo.
Well, Mark, okay, so let me just go straight to what I had in mind here. And you spoke straight to the point about the political class themselves. What many of them do not know is that there is such a thing as political communication. Now, I'm looking at the definition here that says political communication is an interactive process concerning the transmission of information among politicians, the news media, and the public. The process operates downward from governing institutions towards citizens, horizontally in linkages among political actors, and also upward from public opinion toward authorities. Political communication has always been central to the electoral and policy-making process, but since the early 90s, certain important developments have fundamentally altered this process, particularly post-war trends in the mass media, moving from the traditional world of newspapers, radio, and television through the internet. I think this part, Markwe, is completely lost on most politicians. So we forget that every word, even our mannerisms, are saying a thing or two. I remember we spoke with the governor of Ondo State once, when you were talking about this whole, kind of things that politicians say, and he said they were nothing but political gunshots that don't kill anyone. Fine. However, political gunshots have caused many to act in certain ways. It is to an extent what some people call the body language of whoever is the head of the executive in any particular environment. So if a politician says something, even if he doesn't mean it or didn't mean what he said, how about his associates? How about his, in that event that you spoke about yesterday, some people referred to as political thugs. How about those ones? Election security is a concern. Of course, we'll be delving into it a little more closely this morning. But the cannon foders in all of this have always been the people. Do we even realize that the things that we say, the rhetorics that come out of our mouths as leaders, as people in positions of authority, have an impact directly or indirectly on voter apathy, on whether or not people will turn out for the elections? So it is important that people not only know the importance of what they say, but they pay attention to political communication. And don't also forget that communication is not just about dishing out information, but information is not communication, it is shared meaning. Communication is shared meaning. If we have mutual understanding, then we have communicated. But to say something and mean something different, I don't know if that is it. I thought that the best tool for campaigning is the performance of whoever is the incumbent. Yesterday on the news at 10, our colleague Babajide Ogunsanwo also spoke to some of these issues and identified a number of things that could be responsible for how the elections are going to go in these 3 states. Who is taking note? We're doing our part as the media. But how about the political class? Chamberlain.
Those are some of the issues that we'll highlight. We'll get to hear directly from some of the candidates who will be participating in those elections, Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa, because some of the narratives coming through from there does raise a lot of questions. Yes, they can go ahead and do all the political communication that they want or they like, but we like to see agencies such as security, ones that are conducting elections, not come across to people as being brazenly beholden to whichever ruling class is in the state at the particular point in time. Because you can't afford to, because look, maybe, who knows? What if it comes to a time where like, if everybody's going to the polling booth we all go with something within the laws that we can use in defending ourselves. Because what do you do when you get the impression that certain people using the apparatus of state to muzzle certain agencies, and then you think that you're helpless, yet our votes are supposed to count, as it were. So, and it definitely, that's not what anyone wants to see, because if I were going to the polling booth at this rate, I'll have to do something to make sure, yeah, apart from taking care of my own personal security, to ensure that I act within the law to protect myself. Because, yes, they've all said it, and they keep saying it. Oh, it will be fair, it will be credible, it will be this and that. But when we go out there, we always, at one point in time or the other, see that materials arrive late. When that does happen, that is a form of manipulation by itself. Mm-hmm. Because you can't tell me that that's accidental. No, it is not. Because in many cases, it's calculated to weaken certain opposition or certain other places where it's not your stronghold. Make it come late. If it comes late, either they start late or they don't even do anything at all. You reduce all of this. So people are not foolish or stupid. We see all these things. But security has a huge role to play. Yes, we've seen the army also talk tough about all of these things, but I'd like to see them walk the talk. Because, yes, the truth is, lots of people are just, they don't think that anything substantial will really come out of all of these elections if it will not be muzzled by people who will pay political thugs to go in and muzzle everybody else, while security agencies will come up with an excuse, well, we try to do what we can do, and then you go to court, they tell you substantially complied. We run a society like this. Well, we'll hear from some of the actors. They'll tell us about their plans, their concerns, and way forward today on the program. So let's go right ahead and take you through some of the dailies. We'll start with Vanguard newspaper here today. Corruption. Defiance to laws cost investors 1 trillion naira in property loss. I know many like to see Guardian, guys, not Vanguard. Okay, pardon me. Did I say Vanguard?
You did say Vanguard.
Oh,
you did.
Yeah. I guess my mind's playing tricks on me this early morning. So, okay, well, there you go. All right, guys. Okay, pardon me. Whichever way I could have gone, I did. But
that's what happens when you're spoiled for choice.
Okay, well, yeah, that's the lead story here. So it doesn't have any rider or kicker, but it just shows you a lot of pictorial representation of what they mean here. Almost 1 trillion naira worth of properties demolished in the last 14 months. And it raises questions as to what we do, how, whether or not we plan. Do we give a thought to the implications of all of these things? Because in a society or country where you will hear the leaders say, we have to tighten our belts, all is not well, and you think that they will ensure that agencies of government are up and doing about ensuring that regulations, stipulations are adhered to strictly, such that people don't expend resources unnecessarily, and or ensure that if you have to do anything whatsoever, you plug the leakages. But at this rate, 1 trillion naira.
I think that, Chamberlain, government agencies too need to be held to account.
Yeah.
Because when people, this is referring mostly to property. Mm-hmm. When people, want to buy landed property or are about to develop,
yeah,
they do not go ahead oftentimes without getting some tacit approval from agencies of government. It might not be, it might be that, oh, this is not exactly in the plan, it's not in the master plan, but don't worry, we'll find a way around it. You have those kinds of assurances. Or it could be that, okay, don't worry, if you bring so-and-so, maybe we'll be able to do this for you. At the end of the day, when you now have somebody who comes and says, where is the original plan? Let us follow this original plan. You will find that there are a lot of people who have colluded, or people who haven't done the right thing now suffer the brunt. And they have done this in collusion with government officials. Oftentimes, they take the fall, these officials go scot-free. I think that, you know, government agencies need to be held. Yes, you can say, well, it's their punishment. Why should they have colluded in the very first instance? Why should they? But in a situation, in a place where we know that oftentimes people just do things and get away with it. There are no consequences. There is no, how do I put it now? There's plenty of impunity in many places. There ought to be people who also pay the price within these government agencies, especially if they're able to show any documents that come from within, from within government authority as well. If they're able to show any documents that show any approval whatsoever, the people who signed those documents ought to be prosecuted. Just like you have in this PNID case, whereby it was because our government, some government officials, some unscrupulous government officials didn't do their jobs. That's why Nigeria was about to pay so much money to, will I say, a cartel, a criminal cartel, trying to take a country for granted. I understand that, you know, the legal person involved within the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, even though she had retired, you know, was prosecuted. That's exactly what we should have in situations like this, where people lose their property. You know, yes, that might be their own punishment, that might be their own cup of tea. We're talking property worth ₦1 trillion now when you document everything.
Yeah.
But nobody within the confines of government is being held to account for the approvals that have been given to these people.
You know, the other day, lots of people thought it's a step to take when the federal government said ministers will have KPIs, they perform or you're out, and that they put up an agency or ministry or unit to ensure that they check with the results. People thought, way to go. But state governments, does anyone in any state, and anyone in any state in this country tell us, if you wanted to buy property or build, do you know the steps and the processes, the agencies you need to relate to, what you require from start to the finish before you ever start? Can anybody tell me?
A few states are actually doing something in that regard. I know that the Presidential Enabling Council, yes, it is published. Presidential Enabling Council, PEBEC, Enabling Council, I don't remember the full meaning of the acronym now. But yes, Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, has been doing some monitoring, and they've been doing some efficiency scoring, how, you know, not just the federal government, but also even how states are doing. And the states that are actually putting something in place might surprise you. The states that are actually trying to ensure that people who want to come and invest in their states know the process from start to finish might surprise you. Gombe, for instance, is doing very well on that assessment list. A few other states are lagging behind, and the states where they are lagging behind will also surprise you. It is the states where, you know, investors will come anyway, so you find them foot dragging. Lagos, for instance, ought to be doing better on that list. Ogun ought to be doing better on that list. Well, I imagine that, you know, they will continue to take those assessments very seriously, but it will be very interesting to see by the end of the year the new rankings that PEBEC will come up with.
You know, the reason why sometimes I don't delve in wholeheartedly with some of this
assessment
enabling environment stuff is because we know how challenging it is to do business in this country. Because even with all of those issues, you know, the complex whole they publish about a state doing business in that state, we still know that if you have to bring in anything, hassles you have to go through customs to access it, road infrastructure, electricity, energy costs.
I feel so bad. I just dropped the report. I just removed this report out of my bag. I would have shown you just how a number of government agencies are doing. They're doing so woefully poor. The agencies of government that are doing very well on that Presidential Enabling Environment Council list, the rankings, are the ones that we don't hear of. For instance, quarantine services. I mean, how often do we need quarantine services? Well, those are the agencies of government that are doing very well. The ones that immediately should show impact and will be able to feel it. Police, customs, Servicom, they're doing so poorly. Some of them even do nothing. Some of them are happy to score 0 on that particular list. Yes, on the efficiency and transparency ranking. They're doing absolutely woefully. And yes, we have a soft copy. So if you want it, we can show it up on this program before the program is over, just so that, they know that people are, they have their eyes on them, We all have a duty to ensure that businesses thrive in this country and do well. And everybody needs to play their part. So it'll be a good place to start with the ministers whenever it is that they eventually show up on this
State
program.
commissioners, too. We have to turn attention on the states and the commissioners. What KPIs do state governments give to the commissioners? They need to be as transparent as well. Publish your data. Let us see what it requires. And if we get all of those things, and we still then be held accountable if you went ahead and did all you can? Well, that's the guidance today, guys.
Well, I'm looking at leadership for you. Look at this now. Drug war. 42 barons, 32,000 others arrested in 34 months. NDLEA destroys 202 billion naira drugs, seizes 7 what's that now? 7 metric kilograms. Is that what it will be? Is this 7, because I'm seeing that, 7 kilograms of drugs. Is that metric kilograms of drugs? I don't know. I've never heard it measured like that. But page 4 is where you find details. 5,147 prosecuted as UNODC seeks cooperation to dismantle cartels. So that story is on page 4 of the paper for you. Why I say of the program? And it's turning pages of this program as well. And look at this. Naira regains ground to 970 to the dollar at parallel market. Yeah, some people are getting their fingers burnt there. Page 7 is where you find details. And if you look on top of the nameplate, Appeal Court hears Kano governorship case today. It's on page 7. Tinubu pushes for new investments from Arab nations. That is also right there. But we're going to leave it there, but not without mentioning this story. 20 bodies recovered in Taraba boat mishap. So that recovery mission is still going on there in the mishap that happened sometime last week. We'll leave it there for leadership newspapers.
And switch to this Nigeria newspaper. It's a very, very concerning statistics you will find on the front page of the paper this morning. And it talks about the effect of poverty on Nigerians. This Nigeria newspaper this morning leads with this one. Psychiatrists say poverty leading many Nigerians to depression, insanity. That should be a concern, a serious concern at that. Look at the writer. 2023 report, nearly 12% of world population in extreme poverty live in Nigeria. Some families now scamper for trashed food in waste bins. Something you hinted at the other time, Chamberlain, and when you were talking about states, how that states need to do a lot more. And Malpa, you were also giving an analysis of how well or not some states are performing. This is a direct effect. This is a direct consequence of ministries, departments, and agencies doing or not doing the things that are expected of them. This is what happens when we do not do what we are supposed to do. Nearly 12% of world population, gosh, live in extreme poverty. They are in Nigeria. Nearly 12% of all of those people in the world that are living in extreme poverty live in Nigeria. And there are how many countries in the world now? About 200 or so? And we've taken more than 10% already. That's a very, very concerning statistics, if you will ask me, but that's the lead story of this Nigeria. So who is giving attention to these things? Are state governors aware, especially in the north? Sokoto State, we understand, has the highest number of people living in multi-dimensional poverty in the country. More than 90%, according to our own official reports in the country. Who is giving attention to these things? Because there is no way we'll say that a good number of those people are not within the statistics on the front page of this Nigerian newspaper this morning. At the bottom of the page, you have this one. FG recovers $4 billion cash, $2 billion assets from Abacha's loot in 25 years. Well, there are many dynamics many perspectives to this particular story. A good number of people will tell you, but that's the details of that you will find on page 26 of this Nigerian newspaper today. That's the paper this morning.
Well, we can have a look at that Vanguard now. So that, look at that, CBN, as you might have seen before, CBN governor had also vows to fight inflation, okay? To focus on core mandates of price stability. Inflation has had massive impact on lives of Nigerians. Let me see. So, I think that explains itself. And then at the bottom strip, Forex gains. Remember, Forex gains. Banks' profits balloon by 156% to 2.3 trillion naira. We always highlight this, that banks always the huge profit.
They need to show us
even when the economy indices are going south, bank profit balloon. So how do we reconcile that? No, I mean, it's good for people to make profit and businesses to grow. That's what we all want. But
how come
there's growth?
They're the only ones that seem to be making profit.
So, I mean, there's a lot of questions about some of these things. But, well, let's see. CBN says they're vowing to fight inflation. Hopefully, they will also fight for the people for some of these multiple taxes that customers pay to banks on a regular basis. Whether you're asleep or you're awake, the charges are moving back and forth. Even if you just deposit money right now, they will charge. Oh, boy. Anyway,
when you do a transfer, you'll see three other alerts deducting 3 naira or 4 naira something, another one for deducting something else, VAT, or I'm not even sure what it is. I just know that whenever it is I do a transfer and it's a debit alert on my account, there are 3 other alerts that immediately follow telling me what else has been deducted, and that happens for every single transaction.
And at the end of the month, you still get all those charges.
Oh, yes, you will.
Again, every month. So, there you go. Why won't it balloon by 156%?
Anyways, Abuja Inquirer is right here. Would that be all for the... Yeah, okay. Look, take a look at what you have here on the front page of the Abuja Inquirer. 43% of Nigerian children unregistered at birth. That's attributed to UNICEF. North records lowest registration. That's something that should be of concern to us because it also borders on data. If we do not know how many children we're giving birth to because their births are not registered, how do we plan for them? How do we know, how to build schools, in which areas to build
give them palliatives?
Palliatives is what it is. It's palliative.
You can't give people you don't know.
It's a temporary thing.
Yeah,
but in terms of having these children contribute meaningfully to being, to life and to being useful citizens, not just to themselves, but also to the country, these is a figure that we need to take very seriously. 43% of Nigerian children are registered at birth.
We need to know why that is happening so they can correct it.
So details might be on page 3 of the paper. You also have right on top of the nameplate, Nigeria's democracy like a lottery, attributed to Bishop Coker.
Oh boy.
Page 3. You have to understand the context in which he's speaking. So I'll advise you to go to page 3. This is like a lottery. Go to page 3 and understand what it is that is there. I do not know why this warning is going out, but look at it. Avoid major Nigerian hotels. U.S. warns its citizens. It's on page 13 of the paper. Why that is, you might want to see it somewhere inside the paper. But we'll leave it there for the Abuja Inquirer.
Daily Independent is next, and it's perhaps something you'd be interested in. End game for FX speculators as Naira begins recovery. You can see right there on the front page of Daily Independent. Something cheering, perhaps, because the Naira inched towards 1,150 or thereabouts about a week ago, and here we are, it's under 1,000 naira now. So has the much expected development in that sector begun, or are we celebrating too early? Guess we'll find out, but the details of that you'll find continue on the inside pages. Right under the picture on the front page, why Nigeria can't be aviation hub for West Africa. That's according to experts. Bemoan country's loss of billions of dollars to Ghana. Marco, again, you were speaking about the ministries, departments, and agencies the other time. These are the instruments of office that organizations use to get things done. But hey, that's what we have on the front page. That's Daily Independent this morning.
Okay, let's end with the Daily Times then. Attack on NLC president. ILO sanctions against FG, Imo government looming. That's what Daily Times reports today. Expulsion and option. Fallout from negative global PR may affect presidential drive for foreign investors, employment generation. NLC alleges Uzodinma has sent police to harass Ajero's community. Governor reacts. So you can get all of that daily. So that wraps it up with a look at some of the dailies here this morning. We'll delve into the forthcoming elections in just a moment, so stay on with us.
The fact that this election is an off-cycle election gives the police and other security agencies a big advantage in terms of deployment of manpower and logistics for this election. We have a large pool of resources to draw from with respect to providing security for this election. But the fact that the election is taking place in only 3 states. The other 33 states and the FCT are there for us. We can draw resources from these other states to support the security of this election in those 3 states. We are ready for this election. We have been able to deploy adequately for this election. In Bayelsa, we'll be covering 2,224 polling units, and we have enough men and resources to cover those polling units. We have also made adequate arrangements. The same arrangement has been made for both Imo and Kogi. We have done our threat assessment, and we already know how to carry out our deployment, which we have already done. We are doing our deployment in stages. We have started. By Friday, we will complete our deployment. I am aware that there have been allegations on social media against the Commissioner of Police in Imo. But for this election, we are changing the Commissioner of Police. The fact that we are changing him may not be because he has been found guilty of those allegations, but for neutrality's sake, we are changing him for this election. So he's not going to be there for this
Thank
election.
you for doing that. Thank you for doing that, Mr. IG.
It begins when news breaks, but there's much more in the details. That's where Special Report comes into the picture, locating the source and destination of the news.
Something needs to be done. We don't need to negotiate that. Government should see what we are doing.
Bringing your perspective to the fore.
If those arrested are those protesting against police brutality, I would say that such arrest is unjustified.
Exploring angles that may provide solutions, giving you the opportunity to understand the issues and make decisions. Watch Special Report on Channels Television. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser. Or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
Well, that's our first take this morning, security and the call for credible elections in these off-cycle elections that we're having in the weekend ahead. It remains a thing, which of course informed our own conversation yesterday on election security at our town hall on election security. So let's have some conversations around this morning with Mr. Tunde Ajibolu, who is a member of the 2023 APC Presidential Campaign Council. He's also a campaign of the Campaign Planning Committee. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
As well as Dr. Adetokunbo Pierce, a member 2023 PDP National Presidential Campaign Council in Lagos. He's also here with us in the studio. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning.
Let me begin with you, Mr. Ajibolu. First of all, the rhetoric's going on, particularly in Imo State. rhetorics going on in Bayelsa, in Kogi. Is it a concern for you and your party?
Ayo, when you say rhetorics, what exactly do you mean?
Particularly in terms of insecurity, which, of course, you know, INEC has raised the alarm about.
Yes, but the Inspector General of Police, the last time I checked, in fact, as at yesterday, the Commissioner of Police in Imo State has been redeployed. And there was a press briefing with the Inspector General of Police and the Chief of Defense Staff. And they've assured Nigerians they're going to do all it takes to make sure the elections are free, credible, and devoid of security issues.
Mm. Yes. Dr. Pierce, is this something satisfactory to you, the assurance of the IGP?
Well, this is not the first time we're having elections in Nigeria. The challenges are always the same. Incumbents always find it difficult to be fair. So the challenges are there. IG, that's part of the problem we have in Nigeria. Is it now when a lot of damage has been done? Because what is happening in Imo State, it's obvious that the incumbent is doing everything to make sure that he gets his way, and anybody who appears to be asking for accountability on behalf of the people, because the accusation there, the allegation there in Imo is that governor has not paid their salaries, governor is honoring minimum wage, and so many problems. And then the next thing we know, people who are complaining on behalf of the people are beaten up, arrested, and abused. So how can one say that the Inspector General of Police now be deploying another person to be in charge is going to make a difference overnight? We have serious problems, always in our elections. And actually, we just pray that we go through this period and then begin to go and find real solutions to our electoral problems. The Inspector General of Police represents the interests of the federal government. That's the problem we have. So policing has to change. We have to have state police. We have to defer power to the states so that we can have proper security in the states, for the states. What we have now is federal government trying its best to police places where the interests of the people is not taken care of by the federal government. The governor is supposed to be the chief security officer in the state, but the fact of the matter is the inspector of police in the state does not report to him, reports to the federal government. So we have these problems. So not only in Imo State, Kogi State is known for violence, and the governor now has a very bad reputation that everything is war. So we're just praying that we have a fair election, but it is always a problem with incumbents.
But at the end of the day, it comes back to the political class, and it's not just dependent on one particular party. It's like it's something that has been recorded against every political party. The rhetorics of politicians, particularly chieftains of political parties, and all of that has been a concern. Doesn't it come back to the political actors in each of these elections, be it the person who is in office or the opposition?
Sorry, can I interject briefly, please?
Okay.
So you see, it's always amazing, you see, how it's so convenient when opposition. It's so convenient when the opposition party is not in power. It is very convenient when the opposition party wins elections. So he's saying that the Inspector General of Police cannot be trusted. Basically, that's what he's saying, that is representing the interests of the federal government. Okay, so what has happened in states that PDP won? What has happened in states that Labour Party won? You understand? So we need to just...
well, it comes back to the question that I asked about whether or not it is not a political rhetoric for politicians, such as yourselves, gentlemen.
You are right. Look, I don't get into this business of partisan politics. It's too shallow. We have serious problems with the structure of Nigeria. That's the point I made. It's not about whether somebody, as any government in power, it's very difficult to have fair election because they control too much. For instance, The whole electoral system has to change. Otherwise, it's just a prayer. It's a Hail Mary to have any fair election.
Is it a question of the... Just a second, just a second. Is it a question of the politicals, of the electoral system changing, or the people playing the politics that needs to change?
Anywhere in the world.
Both.
Look, human beings are the same anywhere in the world. They do not obey the law unless there's enforcement of the law. It is the system that determines whether you're going to have fairness, you're going to have real democracy or not. It's not about the individuals. If you find an individual in the position where he can take advantage, he will do so. So we talk about this all the time. We say Nigeria political class. Have you ever seen anywhere in the world where the political class is not at war with each other? The only difference between the countries is the system that they have. For instance, can you imagine in America if the INEC chairman of, let us say, in the US was in charge of elections the way INEC chairman has so much power here? You think that Donald Trump would not have won the election when he said he didn't agree that Biden won? He would have just instructed him, don't declare. Simple as that, which he tried to do. The system kept him under check. We should, when people like us meet here, we shouldn't be talking about parties this and parties that. Let's talk about our system in this country. It has to change. If it doesn't change, we are not going to have any credible election. Okay. It's just a prayer if we do.
Okay. You wanted to add a word or two?
Yeah, so, I mean, I was going to say that we have to be thankful for what we have. I'm not holding like a fatalistic approach to these things. Our policy has been evolving over time. We've seen where an incumbent president lost an election and gave in. We've seen where incumbent governors lost elections. We've seen our judiciary. We've seen what has been happening in recent times. And this is not about partisan politics. Yes, there's a problem in Nigeria. There's no doubt about it. But the government of the day is doing the possible best they can to mitigate all these issues that we're dealing with. Yes. So it's not about partisan politics. It's not about, at the end of the day, we're all Nigerians,
but
basically.
The concern has always been the build-up to our elections is always problematic. And that's what I would like you to speak to now, particularly in this off-cycle elections of Imo, of Bayelsa, and Kogi governorship elections.
I'm from Kogi State. Okay. Do you understand? So I can speak about certain things in Kogi State. And then my take might actually shock you. And then, so you understand that, you know, that I'm far from partisan, as alluded. You know, I'm from Kogi State. I joined the APC in 2014. I am an APC man through and through. I've handled national assignments at the highest possible level, including chairing the gubernatorial primaries and delivering my candidate. Now, I must say, in these elections going on in Kogi State, I must say that I'm not supporting the APC candidate. I'm not supporting the APC candidate.
Why is that?
I'm supporting the ADC candidate, who used to be in APC. So there's a lot of things happening in Kogi State that a lot of people don't understand. The governor has hijacked the structure of the party. And
isn't he supposed to be the leader of the party in your state?
Well, he's supposed to be the leader. Well, when you're a leader, I believe you should be all-inclusive. What has ADC become in Kogi? ADC has become a platform for disgruntled people that left APC. That's where they go to find a voice. So for these elections, I'm supporting Leke Abejide, who's in the House of Reps, who worked 110% for the president to emerge. ADC basically is an extension of APC in Kogi State. You understand? And for me, at the end of the day, I am loyal. The leader of my party is the president and the chairman. I have not, maybe if I lived in Kogi, maybe if I played that type of politics, maybe I'll be in ADC.
Wouldn't you be accused of what you guys call anti-party activities?
Why would I be accused of anti-party?
Isn't it anti-party to support another party?
I worked extremely hard for my president the person I'm supporting worked extremely hard for my president to emerge. Do you understand? And then there's a deeper problem. In Kogi State, I'm Yoruba from Kogi. They call us the Okuns. All through the years, we have never produced a governor, even when we're in Kwara State. The Egbiras at least had a governor once in Kwara State. So what has happened now? How did Kogi even come to... How was Kogi formed? The Yoruba people played almost 60–70% of the role in forming Kogi State. There are three major tribes: the Igalas, the Egbiras, and the Yorubas. His soul rest in peace, Prince Abubakar Audu. We know he won that election. His major campaign thrust was power shift. That was his major campaign thrust. And my people voted en masse for him. Then something happens, fate, he dies, there's a lacuna, and it was never happened before in the history of Nigeria, and is open to translation. And then they decided the person that came second in the primaries should be governor, who was Governor Yaya Bello. So this was handed over to him on a platter of gold. Then, 8 years down the line, he brings somebody from his polling unit, to come, and it's not a family affair.
So how is this likely to affect election security in the state?
Election security, like I said, the IG of police, the chief of defense staff, I believe in the instruments of law and order in Nigeria.
Okay.
Do you understand? I believe in that. And then it's a standard operating practice. Why do they change commissioners of police? Why do they change military people? I mean, just on the off chance you've been compromised. Just on the off chance you've been compromised. Okay. Yes.
Well, Prince Pierce, Dr. Pierce, do you see that change? I know that we asked you this question earlier, but do you see a change of the CP of any state, any of these states, Imo in particular, given the issues that you raised earlier, has been significant in ensuring election security in Imo State?
Not at all. You see, the way the system is, the governor has too much influence, and therefore the commissioner himself, who knows the fact that there's a new commissioner doesn't mean he's not compromised. So until the system, the whole system, look, let me tell you something. I'm looking at, well, Kogi is gone anyway. I think the alternative to governorship in Kogi is the PDP candidate. I think he's going to win. There are senators, former senators of APC, who are already saying that they're not supporting their own candidate. Now, you are saying you're not supporting. And this is an extension of
but not
APC.
PDP. No, not PDP.
Well,
no,
well,
not
good,
PDP.
good luck.
PDP does not stand a chance in Kogi State.
Look.
Yes.
The candidate you are supporting in ADC is an extension of APC. APC has failed, so the extension will also fail. So the alternative is the PDP. So that's my take. Now, let's see what happens.
Even though about 16 political parties are contesting in that state.
Well, there are 100 political parties in Nigeria. The main parties are APC and PDP. Let's face it. These are the two parties that have strong structures.
Why are you putting Labour Party? Why are you putting SDP? These people put up a good showing in our politics.
They have a good showing.
The ADC candidate is a member of the House of Reps.
The Labour Party...
Based on him, another person has recently been elected in Kogi State, representing the Kababuno. ADC as well.
The Labour Party
PDP does not stand a chance.
The Labour Party is a distant third party in Nigeria now. The main parties in Nigeria, let's face it, look at the National Assembly spread, you see what's going on there. It's between the PDP and the APC. So anyway, to tell you how concerned I am about politics in Nigeria, imagine 2027, and the INEC chairman that bungled the last election is still going to be the INEC chairman. And if he's not the INEC chairman, because he should have been fired immediately after this election, fired. If the president is keeping him, it's because he's done him a favor. We have a problem there.
Exactly what was his offense?
His offense. All the promises he made about electronic transmission of results, Nothing was achieved.
And you don't think the judgment of the Supreme Court, up to the Supreme Court was significant?
The judgment of the Supreme Court had nothing to do with the performance of INEC. The Supreme Court had no way of keeping INEC, of making INEC do its job. It was not about that. What the Supreme Court could do, that's part of the problem. How can INEC have so much power? The one man had so much power, and that man was appointed by the president.
Do you think INEC is ready for this election?
INEC can never be ready for election. We must totally dismantle INEC. Look, this is the problem with this country. And I'm saying it now, and you're going to see people coming to repeat exactly what I'm saying. INEC has to be dismantled. INEC is a dysfunctional system. There are many countries where we have a federation like this. In the United States, for instance, where I lived for 20 years and worked in politics for 20 years, let me tell you, unless you have a system where you decentralize elections, as they have in the US, every Secretary of State in every state is the returning officer in the state. That is what we must have. And we must also change the local election structure, whereby any government in power, any government in any state will determine exactly what happens in the state assembly, will determine what happens in the local government elections, will determine what happens in the federal elections in their state, because they control everything.
Do you think we're mature, our politics is mature enough for that?
No, we must change it. This is the point.
But the players, let me come to you, Mr. Chukwu. You wanted to...
Yeah, please, first things first. I think I would like for you to take something back. You do not allude that my president, that the INEC chairman did my president a favor. He's also your president. You will not allude to that.
What makes you think he's my president?
You will not allude. Are you American?
No, he's not my president.
Are you American?
No.
Are you American?
I am not an American.
Are you Ghanaian?
I am in Nigeria.
You're in Nigeria. There's a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If he's not your president, then you're not a Nigerian.
I refuse to accept him.
Maybe you move to Ghana.
No.
Yeah.
Listen.
I had the floor and I was saying something else. So first things first, I said I will not take that, number one. And then I'm happy you asked him something. Do you know any better than the Supreme Court? Do you know any better than the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Are you a judge?
I can tell you what happened at the Supreme Court.
It's a court that has granted your party victories at all levels. Our judicial system in Nigeria. You see, it's always so sad, when opposition, when things are just not going their way, it's all like a pity party. That's when they come up with all these things. They keep quiet when things go their way. How many PDP senators now did courts, do you understand? He's not speaking to that. He comes to this thing, but my own is, you will not insult my president in this forum. That's all. Please, let's show respect. The man has contested an election, and he has won it, and he's the sworn-in president of Nigeria.
This is a democracy.
So please, gentlemen, let's make a little progress, because we have just about 5 minutes.
I can criticize anybody.
You can criticize, but you said he's not your president.
Fact,
if he's not your president, you're not Nigerian.
The first person that we criticize,
if he's not your president, you're not Nigerian.
Is the head of state, is the president.
Nobody's saying don't critique.
Now, if this is happening within this, this sane environment, I wonder what is happening among your supporters all over the place, and how this will play out on the electorate.
We are going to have free and fair elections. The organs of states are going to play a critical role in ensuring that this happens. No matter what anybody is postulating, no matter what anybody is saying, maybe that's even their wish. Maybe that's what they want to happen. But no, they'll be put to shame. The elections are going to be free and they're going to be fair.
I hope so. Yes. But I tell you this, let me put it on record today. So long as the president of Nigeria is the one that appoints the INEC chairman, there cannot be free election in Nigeria, okay?
So you're saying that the 1999 election, the 2003 elections, the 2007 elections and all, they were not free and fair?
As long...
Of course.
Is that what you're saying?
Of course they were free and fair. PDP won now.
No.
It was very fair.
But don't put words in my mouth.
Okay, was it fair?
Just to allow him to... Dr. Pierce, are you saying that all the elections we've had so far have not been free and fair? Is that what you're saying?
This is the point I'm making. So long as the president, whoever he is or she is is the one appointing the INEC chairman. He who pays the piper calls the tune. We can never have free elections in Nigeria.
So what
we
is
have
the
to
PDP?
change this.
What's the
Forget
PDP
about
doing?
what happened.
Just a second. What's the PDP doing about that? The PDP has led the National Assembly. Just a second.
Okay.
The PDP has led the National Assembly. The PDP has played opposition in the National Assembly. What has your members, senators, members of the House of Representatives in the National Assembly done about this? Your suggestion?
Well, people like me have always advocated that if you go to the National Assembly, your principal objective should be to argue for a revision of the 1999 Constitution so that we can have a restructured federation, whereby you devolve power to the states, okay? Whereby you decentralize the structure of elections. These are the reasons why we supported Atiku in the 2023 election, because of a commitment to restructuring the Nigerian Federation along the lines of devolution of power to the states, decentralization of government, including INEC, so that the states will control the elections in every state. So long as you have the state government in charge of the local election structure, you can never have free elections. So I'm not talking about PDP, I'm talking about Nigeria.
Okay, fine.
For the betterment of democracy in Nigeria.
This is what we have now.
Yes.
We have elections coming on November 11. Barely 5 days to that date. Now, one of the issues that we have had is voter apathy, a reduced number of people for every election come out to vote. Do you see that reversing in the elections ahead?
No, no. There'll be voter apathy because of the reasons I'm giving you. Let me tell you, everything I say here is what people are saying on the streets. They have already assumed that this election is gone. The governor is going to dictate. Yaya Bello is going to put violence in the streets. He's going to scare people from voting. He's trying to get his... So why are you going to vote?
You don't think the Nigeria police has the capacity to mitigate
Nigeria,
that?
The people of Nigeria don't believe in the police. Is it the same police that stops you on the way?
Do you have research to buttress the fact that Nigerians do not believe in the police?
You know that there's nobody, no research has come out to tell you otherwise.
Okay.
You know that.
All right.
We all know that.
Do you see us stalling, retracing or reversing voter apathy in the
People are going to come out en masse to come and vote. There's been enough voter sensitization. And over the...
Are you sure there's been enough voter sensitization?
Yes. And over our election cycles, we've started seeing something. We've started seeing the voting population voting for candidates as opposed to parties. There's a realization now that our votes actually count and that you can come out en masse and make a change.
But do you think that was proven... Just a second. Do you think that was proven in the previous election, in the election of February and March? Because progressively, the more voters we have, the less percentage of people come out to vote.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of things happen, and this is one of the things I would even appeal to INEC to change. Do you understand? So I believe if you're a registered voter in Nigeria, you should be able to vote from anywhere you reside. So if I registered in Kogi State, for instance, I should be able to vote in Lagos. A lot of things happen, deaths, migration. So you find yourself, you have a voter's card, you're ready to vote, but you're nowhere near. Work, something has taken you away from where you registered, and then you can't vote. That goes a very, very long way. And then, so I attended I attended a school in Nigeria, the Apex Policy Think Tank for Nigeria, the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies. And my project was on electronic voting. Do you understand? The opportunities and challenges vis-a-vis the electronic voting process. So we need, that is very critical. INEC we need to get into that. I should be able to even post my vote. I should be able to vote on my phone. You understand? Until we get to that level, then things will... But it's evolving. We've seen how BVAS, we've seen how everything has been coming up. And then next set of elections, things will be different as well.
So let's close with this, gentlemen. Mr. Ejula, I'd like you to speak to, particularly your supporters in the States? Because those are the people that several information have come out to say are responsible for some of these unrest.
Well, what I will say I speak in my personal capacity. You understand? I'm speaking in my personal capacity, you know. But I will appeal to all the voters, all the supporters out there. And I always say this, it is not a do-or-die affair. Do you understand? It is not a matter of life and death. We go, perform our civic duties, and leave the rest to INEC.
Dr. Pierce.
That's all.
Your address or your counsel or, you know, word of wisdom to those who, particularly political actors in this election, be they the ones in power or the ones in opposition?
The message should go first and foremost to law enforcement to make sure that the election is not stolen by anybody, that people who are in government do not use the authority to steal the election, to deprive people from voting. That is where the whole issue should be. People who are going to vote don't go to vote and cause problems. It is when they get there and they find that they are being excluded, they are being cheated, and there's a problem. So we're talking about law enforcement. The people themselves who are going to vote are not the troublemakers. So it's people who send them out to go and snatch ballot boxes and so on. That's where the problem is. So our appeal should be to people who have authority to make sure that they don't send people out to go and cause confusion, that they let people vote according to their will, according to their choice, make their choice, and let it be.
Okay. Dr. Detokunbo Pierce, member 2023 PDP National Presidential Campaign Council in Lagos State. Thank you so much for your time. As well as Mr. Tunde Ajibulu, member 2023 APC Presidential Campaign Council Campaign Planning Committee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
Well, something that we're all aware of happening from today in Lagos is that the third mainland bridge is due to be shut for a while. Our correspondent Dare Idowu is right there on standby to give us a quick update on how far so far. Good morning, Dare. What's the update? Has the arrangement begun? What are the roles like? How are people reacting to it? How are people taking this experience? At least we can see that he is right there right now. But just that quick information to let you know that the third mainland bridge has been put on hold for now. From today, November 6th, Lagos has shut sections of the third mainland bridge, of course in cahoot with the federal agencies in charge. The repairs, according to what we are aware of, is going to last for about 5 weeks, and there have been arrangements made to ensure that the needful is done in that regard. We'll definitely bring you an update in a little while. Do stay with us. Take a short break. We'll be right back for more.
Heartburn and indigestion? Try Just Eat. My recommendation for the past 26 years, Just Eat. Reliable remedy for heartburn, indigestion, flatulence, and acidity.
In today's ever-evolving and challenging landscape, transformational leadership is your gateway to success. Join the TechSem Senior Executive Program to unlock cutting-edge strategies and insights for victory. Experience the enrichment of strategic leadership skills, resilience, and a sustained competitive advantage. Seize this golden opportunity to empower yourself and your organization to thrive. Join illustrious TechSem's faculty, including Harvard's Maximize Your Board founding director, Professor Rodria Laline, renowned survivor John Peters, and London Business School's alumni, Professor Paul Griffith. At Hilton, London, from November 27 to 30. Invest 5,969,000 naira in your future for strategic outcomes. For details, email exec@texem.co.uk. Texem, insights that inspire, actions that change the world.
The Redeemed Christian Church of God, Northern Regions, Abuja family presents the 22nd Abuja Special Holy Ghost Service. Theme, Ebenezer. Date, Thursday 9th and Friday 10th November 2023. Time, 4 p.m. daily. Venue, Redemption Camp. Kilometer 23, Outer Grugu Village, Abuja Kefi Expressway, Nasarawa State. Ministering our Father in the Lord, the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adejari Adiboye, and other anointed ministers of God. Invite your friends, families, and even your enemies to partake in this special program featuring deliverance, healing, restoration, worship, word, prayers, and drama. As you come, joy shall replace your sadness.
When you sweat, you lose ions too. Reach for Pocari Sweat, similar to your body fluid. It is easily absorbed and rehydrates you faster. Replenish your ions with Pocari Sweat Iron Supply Drink.
To give the confidence that only comes from knowing you are fully sorted. To show up for you just when you need a hand. And when retirement comes with all its worries and storms, to ensure we will stand by you and give you the coverage that you deserve. Make the perfect choice. Choose PAL Pensions today.
PAL Pensions, your pal for life.
Let's get back quickly to my colleague Dare Idowu, who is standing by right now on the Third Mainland Bridge. Well, Dare, so how far so far about this arrangement, about the closure of the Third Mainland Bridge? Dare, can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now, please.
Great. So the Third Mainland Bridge is due for closure today. How far so far?
Okay, from what we've gathered, I mean, we traveled from the big axis of the state to this point, and it's a free-flowing traffic, and I think you can as well see that in the background. Where I'm standing, if you can see that is the ramp that will be closed, and at the moment, we cannot see any official of the federal works at the moment trying to probably cordon off. I think the major message the Ministry of Works is trying to pass across to Lagosians and those who will be using this bridge is that the entire stretch of the bridge, the main deck, will not be closed to traffic. What they're saying is that the ramps, there are 4 ramps, and these 4 ramps, the access or the exit to Adekunle, and that is what they are trying to do. 2 for 2 weeks. 2 of these ramps will be closed for 2 weeks, and that's the initial work. After the first 2 weeks, then the other 2 will be closed for another 3 weeks before the main rehabilitation work will start on this bridge. What they're saying is that there will be a major comprehensive rehabilitation work on the Third Mainland Bridge, but at the moment, I can tell you, Ayo, we cannot see any official on ground. It's a free-flowing traffic. Although the controller of works in Lagos State already mentioned this, that the closure is expected to start about 9 a.m. That motorists who are planning to use the Adekunle ramp may not be able to use it by 9 a.m. And by my time at the moment, it's just past 8. So we're only expecting that maybe in a couple of hours or minutes, so to say, the bridge will be closed. But if it's going to be closed by 9 a.m., I mean, we should see a level of work or the presence of officials of the Federal Ministry of Works on ground. But I can tell you that that is not happening at the moment, Ayo.
Well, Fred, the information also available is saying that Lagos is the one shutting the bridge, but then we also know that it cannot happen unless the federal agencies are doing something about it, performing these repairs. What kind of, do you think, okay, maybe I should put it this way, the kind of partnership that you see happening between the federal and state governments, if what you're saying is what is existing right now, do you see that partnership solid, or you think maybe there is some miscommunication, or perhaps they are just on the way? Dari, can you hear me? Okay, well, Dari cannot hear me at this time, but at least we have an update now that the Third Mainland Bridge has not been closed as it has been announced. However, in no time, we'll get more update. I'm pretty sure that before he returns to base, more information will come through to us. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll be in Abuja for the next conversation. Do stay with us.
On the forthcoming Kogi governorship elections, we do have Olayinka Brimo here with us. He is the governorship candidate for Action Alliance in that forthcoming election. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Thank you for having me.
I know you do have a feel now of probably what to expect, how things are going to turn out, even if you don't give us the full details. But tell us, how are your campaigns going on now?
My campaigns are going on very well. The acceptance across board has been on the increase, and we are very happy about that currently. We've covered significantly a lot of grounds, and we're still covering, at least within the next 2-3 days that's left for campaign.
Okay, when you say acceptance across board, well, a couple of days ago, it was out there in the news that Kogi West Elders Forum adopted Leke Abejide, the candidate of ADC, against the candidate of the PDP, Dino Melaye, and yourself, who all three of you from Kogi West. They said he himself, and that they invited everybody, they looked at certain performances, they came up with different yardsticks. Political appeal, popularity, internal party cohesion, acceptability, campaigns, reach, and they thought he was the one who stuck out for them.
All right. Some few elders may endorse, but it's only God that enthrones. And when you look at those parameters they've looked at, I would think in terms of priorities, they missed that out. I would say categorically, because how can you say you endorse a candidate without a clear vision or a clear manifesto of what exactly he wants to do for other people? So you could see there were allegations of bribery of some of these elders. I mean, it's there in the news as well.
Okay, before I come to that bit, when you talk about clear agenda for Kogi people,
yes,
it was the first thing that they spoke about in terms of the committee that they set up to assess the candidate based on, in fact, the first one here was agenda for Kogi State.
They tell us, these elders tell us in categorical terms the agenda for each of the candidates. As I speak to you, there's no clear-cut message from the candidate that they're saying that they endorsed.
Did they invite you to appear?
I was invited.
Did you go?
I went there.
And what they say is, oh, you have a clear vision, but you're young, and we don't think you can win an election. And I asked them the question, what is your ultimate goal as elders? Is your priority for the people, or you just want to have a governor from Kogi West? What is the ultimate goal? They say, oh, what seems to concern them is we just want to win an election. We just want to have a governor from our side. And I've been very clear with my message from day one. I focus more on the constituency of the poor people. I've never campaigned about where I come from, but my focus has been moving our people from poverty to prosperity, because that is a major problem right now in the state.
What is this thing about allegation of bribery? You seem to take it serious.
Yes, because it was published that the said endorsed candidate bribed some of the elders. I mean, it was published. The allegations were there.
Does that make it true?
I don't know.
But you cite it as an allegation. I mean,
yes, it is an allegation, so it means that it needs to be investigated. However, there's a whole lot of confusion in that regard. The Okun Development Association released a statement which was published by Senator Dino that the ODA had endorsed him. Then you now have the Kogi West elders saying they've endorsed another candidate. Then you now have the Kogi Okun Youth Development Association endorsing Brimo as well. So you have all sorts of kind of endorsements.
So it's one up.
So I mean, like,
three, yeah?
I represent one thing.
Why do you think you will win these elections?
Because of the fact that in my campaigns, the engagement, my vision has been clear from day one, and the acceptability has been there. I do not think any candidate has moved around the entire state the way I've done. I don't think no candidate has done the kind of engagement that I've done in the last 6 months.
Well, I've been largely quiet in this conversation because I spoke with you on Friday on a hard copy, and one of the things which you expressed some concern initially, you had said in previous interviews that security wasn't really an issue for you, but it was seen that by Friday it had begun to become an issue. And one of the things which you raised was the issue of a circular which had gone round hotels in Kogi State, saying that the state government wanted to make use of all the hotels in the state. Is that still the situation in the state?
Well, as at yesterday, initially there were rumors that some of our team got back and said they might force them out of the hotels and all of that, but nothing happened yet as we speak. They've not taken any action. I want to believe that the governor has allowed reason, as a sense of reason, to prevail in that regard. You know, because in our conversations, in our campaign, we have not attacked any individual or anybody, including his administration. We have focused mainly on issues. So I want to believe perhaps he's allowed a sense of reasoning to prevail and decided not to do anything about it going further. I mean, that's the present situation. I don't know what will happen in the next minute.
So you haven't, it's not like as if you have, because initially you were threatening to sue the hotels where you had made reservations, even though some people say, but you can see that it's not the fault of the hotels. You haven't received any reassurance from the Inspector General of Police or the security apparatus, because this could actually lead to a breakdown of security if it's not well managed.
Well, at the moment, the hotels, they've not asked for our account details to refund our money, and they've not asked us to our people to move out of the various hotels that they occupy across the state. So that's why I said I just want to believe that the governor actually allows sense of reasoning to prevail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation yesterday with the Inspector General of Police, and it's about and a number of other stakeholders who are going to be looking at the elections in not just Kogi, in Bayelsa, and also in Imo State. And the conversation largely focused on security. Ahead of the elections, I mean, the IG was talking about how they're going to be deploying security in phases, and they have already started doing their own threat assessment, etc. Do you feel reassured by the plans that have been put in place by the IG with regards to election security in Kogi?
In terms of level of assurance, somehow maybe about 50% thereabout for now, because in terms of their deployment plans, the terrain in Kogi is such that you have a local government, Ibaji local government is not accessible by any vehicle at all. It's only motorbike that can get to some certain extent. And most other parts of Ibaji, you cannot even get there with motorcycle. You have to trek. I mean, those are challenges, and these are areas that in case of any violence in those places, in fact, there's no network at all. There's no network coverage in some...
But they've been voting before now.
They've been voting. You know, the point is when there are issues, how will they be able to call for backup in all of these areas? Some part of
Bassa. You're not Ibaji, okay.
Bassa, Bassa, you don't have a 500-meter road that is good at all in the entire of Bassa. Where I come from, my community, it's extremely difficult. Akutupa is extremely difficult. You drive there, you spend like hours, Kupa North, Kupa South, Egon, and so many of these areas are not easily accessible. And these are areas that I think it's important for them to really focus on, to be able to have backup plan, radio communication.
I thought INEC has meetings with political parties about some of these things, including security agencies. Did you raise this issue, or did your party raise these issues?
Of course, sure, we did.
What was the response?
Yeah, of course, the response is the regular response of, okay, we'll make provisions, they will make provisions. But how far will those provisions go in taking care of our affairs? That you don't know until the D-Day, or you know. INEC will not tell you they don't have plans to take care of those challenges in those areas. But these are real problems that we'll have to look at. Because sometimes the violence occurs more in some rural communities as against the urban centers. For the urban centers, I want to believe the police will be able to take care of urban centers. But I want them to actually focus more on the rural communities, especially those ones that are not accessible easily.
Okay. Well, you've raised the issue of infrastructure, which could now be an impediment in terms of deployment. But I imagine that you said you focused on town halls to get your conversation, to get your message across to the people whom you're looking to get their votes come November 11. But as you go forward now, I know that this is crunch time and there is only so many town halls that you can do. Are you going to be changing tactic to consolidate on those areas where you have been able to get your message off stats to?
Yesterday, for instance, we had 11 locations community engagement in Lokoja. We started from 10 a.m., we finished at about 6:30 p.m. yesterday. At least we were able to cover like 10 locations, I mean, in Lokoja township. And we have other rallies coming up in a couple of locations between tomorrow and next tomorrow.
So you're going to do rallies eventually?
Yeah, I mean, we've had rallies, but we're not doing the large rallies because we found out that we needed to be able to engage more with people.
Are you afraid of doing rallies? Because some people also say, you know, if the silent film could come up now, because if you're looking at this and you're looking at some of the, you know, engagements that you have had, some people will say, look, are you sure this man is going to go anywhere, looking at the fact that he doesn't really have a lot of people?
We did a walk in Lokoja.
Yes.
You aired that some days back. That walk is the largest walk in Lokoja. I mean, you can fact check that. Nobody had actually had that kind of crowd on that walk. We did a walk from Paparanda all the way to phase 2 where we have our party office.
Why do you think that crowd will support you at the end of the day?
Now, it's organic. Okay. Now, yes, it's organic. We walk, we engage people that are already within our structures. You know, we did our walk in Kaba. No other party had had that kind of turnout in Kaba, in terms of our work in Kaba. Okay, because our engagements are organic, strictly organic, because our focus is who are those that will vote for us? Who are those within our structures? Not just general people, not just to go rent crowd or pay crowd, and then you bring them in and then do a huge rally to create some certain impressions. But we focus more on organic crowd. And that's what happened to us in Lokoja.
Which template are you using? I mean, has this been tried by you somewhere? Why you think this will swing the votes your way, especially when you have a ruling party that is hell-bent on delivering for their candidates?
I am an unusual candidate. Unusual candidate because I have an unusual situation and it demands an unusual approach. First, new to the politics of the state, with a party new to the state, so that's an unusual situation. So it requires an unusual strategy to be able to get the results that I require. That is one, because you actually need an unusual candidate to put an end to the unusual trend of poverty that's been happening in our state.
So you think that your message has resonated with the people? Because at the end of the day, on election day, the dynamics are entirely different.
I know. I'm aware of everything you might want to talk about in terms of election day. I'm an entrepreneur.
You have a joker on that day?
I am an entrepreneur. I think strategy. And when I talk about thinking strategy, I appraise every situation and I come up with the necessary strategy to be able to approach things.
What will your strategy be for those who may want to be violent or political thugs that may go to a particular polling unit and snatch it or ensure that things don't go the natural way?
Okay, strategies are meant to be your weapons, and then you don't want me to tell you my strategy in public like that. But we've got everything covered.
Okay, so now, this weekend, in fact, that's true. It's sooner rather than later. It's going to happen real soon.
Yes.
So people are going to wind down campaigns and all of that.
All right.
We've had people who have told us, look, on election day proper, when they get there, because, yes, I know you have your strategy, and granted, you may not disclose your strategy, but we also do know, with different candidates showing up on election day, do you, for instance, have you ensured that, or is it foolproof for you, your party agents will not sell out?
In terms of party agents selling out, you might not be able to have 100% assurance on that. But you can be at a comfortable position. I mean, you're talking about 3,508 units. So tendencies are there that you have a few that might sell out. But however, we still have a backup plan on that.
In the event that they do sell out?
Yes. We have a backup plan on that.
Okay. And a backup plan to guard against vote buying? Or do you also have a budget for vote buying?
There are no budgets for vote buying. I tell my team, I mean, like when some of them say, you know what, this is the culture. We have to do this. If you don't do it this way, how are you going to get a result? And I said, it is the culture. It is the standard. Now, when you want to rent an office space, you have to pay for the office space before you rent it, right? That is the standard. That is the culture. But I started my first business by renting an office space on credit in a fantastic location. So, I mean, there's something different about me. There's something unusual about my life in itself. And those unusual traits and characters and all of those things are embedded in me.
Yeah.
And I'm exhibiting that. But that is what I intend to exhibit, to be able to transform the state.
But at least
moving the state from poverty to prosperity.
I know you also may understand why some persons may be a little skeptical about this, because you said new candidates, new strategy, you've got these policies, and people usually see, look, has this been tried, tested? How do you ensure that your message will resonate? But the thing is this, you also spoke about how you want to change the state from the history of poverty to something else. And we know it can be tricky. when it has to do with poverty and elections. Because when you get there on that day, if persons have not been paid, the people need funds to do certain things, and they dangle such carrots in front of them, they will swing. But you say you have a strategy against some of these things, and you think it's foolproof still.
We've been engaging this people and comparing. You've been suffering. The past 27 years, you've been voting. In the past 8 years, you've been in poverty. In the past 4 years, you've been in poverty. And this poverty is increasing. And then, will you want to trade the hope of a brighter future against 2 tins of rice and 2,000 naira that will barely last you for a day? If you have persevered this long, why wouldn't you just overlook this and just make the decision and vote wisely in terms of going forward? Because, and that's why we've been having the engagement on community decisions. You know, because it's the community decisions that determine the community development.
Let's quickly go through your agenda again. I mean, you've named it the START agenda. Well, I'm trying to remember what the S stands for now. But
Solid minerals, tourism, agriculture and trade, START agenda, as means of driving in cash flow into our economy.
Yes, indeed, solid minerals. And I do recall asking whether you wanted the private sector to be able to come in. What do you think precisely has been the major challenge, why it's been very difficult to, to really take off in the area of solid minerals when it comes to Kogi State, blessed as it is?
Visionary leadership. Visionary leadership, that is what is missing. Because if you don't understand the process you need to follow, how will you be able to implement it? If you don't understand the process, at least you hire people that understand the process. Prospecting, licensing, exploration, and exploitation. You must understand the legal framework required for strategic partnership. Without understanding the legal framework required for strategic partnership, you'll miss it.
How do you intend to look after artisanal miners?
Now, there's a small-scale licenses that you can get, you can access from the cadastral office. So you help them access the small-scale mining licenses for artisanal miners. Or for the commercial-scale miners, what we intend to do, help them access licenses, bring in technical partners for them, issue them the necessary guarantee that will help them to access funding for exploration and exploitation. Federal government owns what is beneath the ground. The land itself is vested in the state government. So when I issue you a COO, I'll create instrument for funding for them. You must understand the financing, the financial engineering around mining. Because without having that understanding, it becomes difficult to be able to execute. And that's why I talk about visionary leadership, understanding how to be able to make the most of the resources that you have.
I know that politicians don't like to look at this possibility. I mean, every politician tells you about how their plan is to win and they see themselves as winners. But not winning is also a possibility. Is it something that you have considered? And if that happens, will you willingly congratulate whoever emerges?
Do you know why I'm on the ballot? I am on the ballot because I am the next governor of Kogi State. That's why I'm on this ballot.
Yes, there's only room for one person at a time.
And that is
I was surprised if you didn't say so.
and there are so many candidates. But, I mean, if that doesn't materialize for any reason, will you be congratulating whoever it is that emerges?
You may want to ask Kogi professionals, intellectuals, who's got the best agenda, who's got the best plan, who's got the most viable and feasible plan to take the state out of poverty. They will tell you.
Okay. Are you also going to be, we're not going to be considering the possibility of not winning. I mean, even I'm not going to say the L word.
Victory is the only option for me. Yeah. And that's why I tell you, I am on the ballot because I, Olayinka Braimo, I am the next governor of Kogi State. It's in a couple of days from here.
Okay, we'll see about that. I mean, our job is to be on the ground and monitor what it is that is, is going on. And can we also say that this also shows the level of confidence you have in the umpire to be able to conduct free and fair elections?
Yes, I have that confidence. First, in the system. What is the system? The beavers.
You're not worried about the IREV?
No, because, I mean, the INEC chairman has made it clear that for this election, that results must be uploaded from the polling units to the IREV. I mean, with that, I keep saying, we'll take him by that his commitment to this. He was in Kogi State, and he made that commitment and made it a public statement that results will be uploaded to the IREV.
Okay, so what your confidence is largely on the
system.
So you don't have any concerns whatsoever with the system?
I don't have concerns if this system is followed. The system in terms of uploading directly from the polling units to the IREV. Because once you upload directly from the polling unit to the IREV, it means the collation, ward collation and local government collation centers and the state collation centers will not be able to manipulate the process.
All right, I think Ayo has got a question or two for you.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Something that you've mentioned the other time, Mr. Brimo, is that of the community, and you said that your campaign has been organic and all of that. What is your message to them? Most of the time when we talk about, the electorate, we're looking at the electorate in the light of those who are well-educated, those who, know exactly, what to look out for and all of that. But the people who will do the actual voting, you know as well as every one of us that a sizable number of them are not as knowledgeable about many of the things that we talk about, in election, the build-up to elections and all of that. So what is your message to them, and how will you take down the experiential poverty they live with on a daily basis?
Right. My message to them is clear. You have the START agenda for those that are educated and enlightened, and then I have the start on the street. I call it start on the street. And the start on the street is what it translates to, the result that is expected. Today in Kogi State, a lot of families, they beg before they can eat. A lot of our graduates are back at home in Kogi State. A lot of families cannot even sponsor their children to school. A lot of wards in Kogi today don't even have no primary school, no secondary school, no clinic, no health center. And if they don't know anybody in the closest urban centers, their hope is completely dashed. So they don't have any help at all. So our message to them is this. With our START agenda, that in 3 years, with our projections, that nobody in Kogi will have to beg before they eat. And the issue of job creation would have been taken care of. That assurance is there, because on our START on the agenda on agricultural food sufficiency target alone, we are looking at about 37 tons yield per hectare on regenerative agriculture, and we will need about 87,000 hectares of farming to be able to achieve food sufficiency, which at 500 naira per person, 2.2 billion naira per day in terms of food, value of food transactions, and about 66 billion naira will be maintained in our economy on a monthly basis, which means these monies are not going out of our economy. So the more the money is increasing in circulation, poverty is reducing. That's been our conversation with them, giving them that assurance that poverty will be a thing of the past, because we're going to have to help them to start making money. Because if we don't help them to start making money, the government cannot make money. And if Kogi State government cannot make money, Kogi will be doomed. Reason why? Federal government is owing 87 trillion naira currently. That's closing Q1 2023. It means the value in terms of federal allocation that we're dependent on will be going down. 88% of our budget of 172 billion naira for this year is dependent on federal government, while just only 12% is coming from IGR. So when you look at these statistics, it means we're doomed as a state if we don't focus on wealth creation, helping our people to start making money. That's been my conversation with people in the rural communities to say, we want to help you to start making money, to help you create products that we can take out of the state for money to come into the state, and services that we can exchange for money. There must be an exchange for our people to start making money. We must help our people to make money, for government to be able to make money. That's the conversation.
Well, when you say that you plan on reducing the poverty figures in Kogi State, someone listening to you right now will say, well, that's political talk. A good number of people will say that all the time. Almost every politician says exactly the same thing. So what's going to be different with you should you find yourself in Government House as you have sworn to us that you will be there?
All right, my focus is wealth creation and wealth distribution.
The question
I've
is
been able
how?
to communicate.
Just a second.
Yes,
Mr.
I'm going there.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I've focused on the how. The how is this. We must help our people to create products that we can take out of the state for monies to come into the state, or services that we can exchange for money. There must be an exchange. That's how to help our people to start making money.
Okay. Now, on that case, earlier on, where we were having conversations this morning, looking at the papers, one of the major challenges we dwelt on from the front pages of the papers is the ease of doing business. The governor of your state at this moment had repeatedly talked about the challenges that they have had, on that major road between the north and the south, and how that challenge has been significant. So two questions arise there. One of them is the collaboration with the federal government by the states, particularly your state. But speak to us, first of all, about ease of doing business in Kogi State. We all know how wonderful or not that has been over time. So what will make doing business with Kogi State under a government that you command different?
All right, looking at a couple of statistics first. We are bounded by 10 states. We have a combined population of about 56 million people, a market that is bigger than Lagos market, connected by about 1,172 kilometers of federal road. Now, this we know. We are the gateway between the north and the south. So all these trucks are passing through our places. I mean, the southerners go to the north to bring food through Kogi. Northerners go through Kogi to get to Aba, get to Nisha, and get to Lagos. So what we intend to do, bring everything you can get from the north, make them available in Kogi. Everything you can get from the south, make them available in Kogi. When we have that, we turn our state to a trade center. Of course, we need to engage with the federal government, collaboration with federal government. Concession is negotiation. There are a lot of things that we can use to negotiate with federal government. I'll give you an instance. Ajakuta Steel, for instance, that you have there. I mean, on a huge landmass. If the federal government is supposed to be paying ground rent to Kogi State government, we can get into negotiations with them for us to be able to concession all the entire of 1,172 kilometers of federal roads so that we can take concession of that. Get funding for these roads, private sector partnership, okay, to allow access, free access into our state. Remember, all of these things are covered in our START agenda, solid minerals, tourism, agriculture, and trade, because infrastructure is key to all of this. So that will help us in terms of helping our people to be able to do business, make it easy for our people, because our focus, wealth creation, goal, it means our set objectives is make money, save money, and grow business. So our goal, our objectives will be the driver. That is to ensure we have answer to every question that our objectives will throw up. And that is what we're looking at in terms of being able to help us. For instance, ease of doing business. Employees are critical to that. You must have good employees, motivated employees, to be able to help businesses to thrive. When your employees are not well paid, when your employees are being paid ration salaries, how do you expect them to be able to give you their best for productivity?
Which raises another question, Mr. Brimo. Just one quick one, Chamberlain. Which raises another question that Malkwe repeated over time this morning, and that is the job of collaborative efforts of ministries, departments, and agencies in ensuring good governance. Now, one of the issues we found out is that they are responsible for the performance or otherwise of any government. What's going to make your own administration difficult different in ensuring that the ministries, departments, and agencies actually work for the people and not for their own pockets?
Now, there are a lot of factors in this. And why I'm focusing on employees, because you need your employees to be able to be productive when the pensioners are not being paid? What message are you communicating to those that are in service currently? I will have to take care of my future. That's the communication when pensioners are not being paid. So these are employee issues must be taken as priority because they will be the driver of the strategic initiative. We have to prioritize that.
What would you have done differently if you were at the helm of affairs and then $2 billion has been released to you for palliatives?
Right. On palliatives, for instance, a couple of factors. I'll give you an example. Ibaji, where we get oil from, in Kogi State, there's no road.
What kind of oil? Palm oil?
No, crude oil. Kogi State has been receiving derivation. Okay? There's oil in Ibaji. So Kogi has started receiving derivation as an oil-producing state. Now, that same local government is cut off completely, not accessible by vehicle, by no roads at all. So, things to do differently. I mean, when you're talking about palliatives and then you're using to give 2 things of rice that is not even up to a meal, you know, I would rather use that to be able to drive industry, help people to be able to create products.
But you know, it won't solve the immediate poverty problem.
Okay, now, when you give me 2 things of rice, and I'm only able to just eat a meal, if that is enough for a meal, what happens the next moment? Am I not back to the same situation? So why wouldn't I just encourage people to persevere and say, let's invest this money to help you for something that is sustainable? These palliatives we're talking about is not sustainable. Sustainability must be the key focus on every initiative that we're looking at.
All right. At the end of the day, whichever way the pendulum swings, one person will win.
Yes.
Now, I know you'll say it yourself.
Of course.
We hear that. But in the event that you're called upon to come in and assist the government of the day, whichever one it is, would you do it?
You see,
with all these ideas that you've got.
You see, when you talk about visionary leadership, you must have a visionary leader that will understand and be able to appreciate ideas that will help move the state forward. I'll give you an example. For most states in Nigeria, you will lobby, you will beg. I'm coming. You will beg, you will lobby to get certificate of occupancy. Now, this is supposed to be an instrument for funding that will help you to drive in cash flow into your state, or businesses to be able to drive in cash flow into your economy. That will help your economy grow. But you see so many governors, you have to know somebody, you have to bribe.
So if they call you to come help,
of occupancy.
would you do that?
Now,
to help the government?
That's what I'm telling you right now. I mean, these states, so many of these states, including our state, will be waiting for federal allocation when they have instrument and platform to be able to create money. Are you saying they don't have people?
What I did ask is, if whichever government wins,
that's what I'm
would
going
you
to.
come in?
Are you saying they don't have people in their state that can help them grow the economy?
So you won't?
But they're not making use of them.
So what's the answer to that? If they call you, you will?
It has to do with if you have somebody with a visionary leader. If you have a visionary leader, right? Like right now, I've been speaking, at least if the governor currently thinks that I need help in this area, he would have reached out to me to say, okay, come and help me.
I'm not talking about this government.
No,
I'm talking about...
that's why I'm giving you an example.
Okay.
The system that has been producing, the system that has been producing governors up to now, okay, the challenge with the system is if the system, is not right, if you don't get the right system to produce your leaders, that's why we're having conversation on community decisions and community engagement.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
May the best...
very much.
How did they say in football? May the best team win. Okay, whichever one.
Okay.
May the best man win.
Oh, in this case.
Or woman, if there is any woman.
Isn't that obvious already?
Okay, Olaika Brimo is the governorship candidate for Action Alliance for the Kogi governorship elections. Oshanor Kingsley, your message says about elections. Election in Nigeria is never a true reflection of what the people want. Not until we make the process of electioneering seamless, stress-free, truly transparent, technologically driven, free and fair, the current generation won't be interested, which is dangerous.
Well, Festus Akim Boyewa says all the stakeholders in our elections must work together urgently to eliminate the barriers facing the delivery of our elections. Voter suppression in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa states must be eliminated in the coming elections. The blame game must stop.
Bureau Kenneth is saying here, let's face it, the bane of electoral problems in Nigeria is the system. The current electoral system in Nigeria cannot guarantee free and fair elections. A dirty cap can't contain clean water. More so until political parties and politicians stop seeing politics as a wealth-making means instead of a platform for public service. Free and fair elections will remain a dream, and good governance will remain an illusion.
Well, this is from Dan Malam. He says, if it's the rule that INEC must dance to the tunes of the president who appointed this leadership, how was it that PDP lost to the opposition APC in the 2015 elections, generally adjudged to be free and fair? I'm not sure it's a rule anyway.
And there's this very long one from Dixon Eka now. He says the new World Poverty Index that gave Nigeria 10% of the total world poverty is disturbing and unacceptable. If there are 195 countries of the world, then Nigeria is negatively taken to the position of 19 and half countries in poverty. It's high time we wake up and do something fast. Technical education in colleges and polytechnic education should be focused and made more robust. Over the years, we've concentrated too much on the center as the federal government. It's time we devolve more power to the states and local government. Poverty alleviation programs should be better handled by state and local governments. Local government autonomy, financial and administrative, should be given priority in the next phase of constitutional amendment. God help our country.
Okay.
The choir says amen.
Yeah, indeed. So that is the show today. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Thank you for your feedback. And yes, we still owe you that PEBEC assessment. We will bring it to you as soon as the producers, yes, the producers are the ones, the powerful people now. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Malkwe Ogun. Have a great week.
Are you saying that it's our producers that are the INEC in that case? Amaya Makide, have a beautiful and productive week.